Waluigi, Dark Pit, Shadow the Hedgehog. Evil counterparts have been a long-running theme in video games and often become fan favorites. Today we're going to discuss this topic and use what I've learned to create my own dark version, Warikyuun. No, I couldn't think of a better name. The dark or evil counterpart has existed in popular fiction for as long as heroes have existed. They usually represent challenges that conflict with the ideals of the protagonist. Video games are possibly my favorite means of storytelling, and this kind of binary opposition is a very effective way to communicate a powerful narrative. In Celeste, the protagonist Madeline is presented with a dark, seemingly evil version of herself. This character is mean and downright hostile to her, acting as an obstacle on the player's journey to climb the mountain. Later in the game, Madeline and the player learn that this girl is nothing more than a personified representation of the protagonist's fears and negative emotions. Not to be defeated but understood, not to be eliminated but embraced. Seeing the differences and similarities between these two characters is what keeps the player so invested in this dynamic. We want to see Madeline succeed as we are her. Naturally, we also want to see her and Badeline, as the fans call her, make up and become stronger together. Negative feelings are not an exclusively bad thing, and accepting this fact is the only way to achieve true enlightenment. Celeste represents this beautifully. While Badeline is represented as a separate entity from Madeline, we realize that the two of them are actually one of the same, like two sides of a mirror. This is the case with many evil counterparts in video games, whether or not they have their own personality. Other examples that come to mind would be Dark Link from the Legend of Zelda series, and from Xenoblade Chronicles 3, Dark Samus from Metroid, and many others. However, there is a second type of evil counterpart that is usually equally popular, if not more. The main difference from the mirror type is that this counterpart is a completely unrelated entity that would still exist even if the hero didn't. They act as an antithesis to the hero in the plot, and also in character design. This way they can highlight the characteristics of the protagonist through opposition. This is called foil in literature. Characters like Wario is to Mario and Princess Hilda is to Princess Zelda. None of these were created from the hero or depend on them to exist. In fact, none of them are actually evil per se, but they still do represent a sort of rival or obstacle to the protagonist of the story, therefore to the player. I think a good way to tell these two types of dark versions apart is with the examples of Metal Sonic and Shadow the Hedgehog. Metal Sonic was built by Dr. Eggman specifically to be a similar but enhanced version of the Blue Blur, in order to defeat him. His existence is therefore deeply intertwined with that of Sonic's, making him a part of the mirror category. Shadow, on the other hand, while also being a life form created in a lab and a hedgehog, has virtually nothing to do with the protagonist. He was actually created from the DNA of this thing. He then became Sonic's arch-rival and ultimately more of an anti-hero than a villain, and symbolically he is represented as Sonic's counterpart. He fits the foil category perfectly. This video was actually inspired by a character that falls into the second category. The original character designer for Waluigi posted both a drawn sketch and a 3D model render on his Instagram of a concept of Wapeach, an evil counterpart to Princess Peach. The idea was for her to debut on Mario Power Tennis for the Nintendo GameCube, but Miyamoto shot it down, meaning this character never actually saw the light of day. Until now! Wapeach has taken the internet by storm in early December, and honestly, good for her. The design is absolutely adorable and right up my alley. There's a lot of amazing fan art and interpretations of this character, and I even made my own. This type of kusogaki, mischievous kid that plays pranks is one that I really enjoy. Plus, Fumihide Aoki's art style reminds me a little bit of my own, which makes sense because these doodles were created in the early 2000s. How do you like my interpretation of her? After posting my artwork of Wapeach online, it hit me. Why don't I create my own dark version? I'm a VTuber, a professional anime girl if you will. A person performing the role of fictional animated woman to produce online content, and I don't know where I'm going with this. Creating my own evil counterpart sounded like a lot of fun, so I got to work. I messaged my amazing Twitch subscribers on the subs Discord channel, telling them my idea. And everyone was super on board with helping me brainstorm. Huge shout out to the Calamaris for that, you know who you are. I decided to go the Wario and Waluigi approach, a character that is the antithesis of Marikyuun but not necessarily evil. Now, I don't know if a lot of you know this, but I did not go to art school until after I graduated college. I have a chemistry degree I finished in 2018, and let me tell you, I was miserable. The long lab classes, the excessive amounts of homework and reports I had to write about topics that didn't interest me in the slightest. It was not a happy time for me, but I put up with it out of respect for my parents who were paying for the tuition. Reminder that I'm not American. I was running out of free time to draw and that feeling was just unbearable. So after I finished undergrad school, I applied for a master's degree in graphic and editorial design. And would you look at that, I got in! The reason why I just told you this remarkably uninteresting story is actually because I figured Warikyuun could be the Marikyuun from another timeline where I decided to stick to chemistry instead of following my passions. I wanted to make her a sort of mad scientist character with weird-looking eyes, big glasses, and unruly hair that is kinda burned on the ends from all the unsafe lab work. I gave her Wario and Waluigi's iconic pointy ears, and her earrings are in the shape of spades to counter the hearts Marikyuun wears. Since Warikyuun couldn't follow her passion for drawing, she dedicates herself to creating love potions in hopes to one day fill the void in her heart with a person. She also drew all over her lab coat so it could be more colorful. Speaking of colors, I made her hair a more desaturated version of my own bright yellowish orange hair, and I made her outfit blue and black to contrast with the pink and white that I wear. Blue and pink aren't complementary colors, but we all know that socially they are considered opposites. You know, the whole blue is for boys and pink is for girls. Anyway, f*** gender roles. When you're designing a character, something that helps me personally is giving them 1 or 2 concepts and basing them around that. No more than 2, otherwise it might get a little all over the place. Since I went for mad scientist and frustrated artist, I could keep things straight to the point. Silhouette is also very important naturally. I wanted to keep her silhouette somehow close to Marikyuun's, but kinda mirrored as well. You can see the bangs are mirrored, and so is the little ponytail she has. Warikyuun's expression is also sadder and more serious than what I usually draw for Marikyuun. Even their eye shape is different to better convey this. I don't really have anything else to say about this artwork, so I just want to ask you what you thought about this type of video from me. Let me know in the comments because I feel like it's a completely different type of content than what I usually make. I really like talking about video games, so it would be awesome to know if I should do this more. I love reading you guys' thoughts on the topics I cover on the channel. For the final details, I had to choose what to draw on her lab coat. I went for an assorted bunch of things I like, from references to video games, random animals, cute accessories, and more. And now that she's done, I think it's time to compare and contrast. In my VTuber lore, I was a regular high school student who one day found an alien squid that gave me magical girl powers. These powers are fully connected to feelings like confidence and self-love. So naturally, in this parallel timeline, Warikyuun and Calamari unfortunately parted ways. That's why she is not a magical girl anymore, while Marikyuun can still transform. I had a lot of fun thinking about evil counterparts in video games in order to create Warikyuun. Maybe we'll see her again sometime? She might become a character in my videos, who knows? Thank you so much for watching. By the way, we got a new end card. What do you think of it? Thank you Azure and Ally for the help on the script and After Effects respectively. Keep your lines thick on the outside and thin on the inside. Bye!